And this is where I sort of got it wrong, because what they actually meant was, can you read my mind? What I thought they meant was, can I have a go of being a mind reader? So in my head, I'm thinking, oh, this will be fine. I'll let them have a go reading my mind. It'll go wrong. And I can see that's how difficult it is. And I can turn around and perform it back on them. But then I thought, you know what, let's try something. So I said, right, yeah, no problem. I give him a pen and a card. I said, right, so I'm going to think something and I'm going to give you a clue. It's not going to be something natural or living. And I drew a picture of a house, fully expected him to maybe have got it wrong and see, look how difficult it was. He comes back over. He says, okay, I've drawn mine. What have you drawn? Writing over my house. And he'd done a house as well. And he literally jumped in the air, literally left the floor. How did you make me know what you were going to draw? And the photographer was perfectly placed. I think it's still one of my promo shots on my website now. Literally, he's got his pen in his hand, jumping up in the air.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Desert Island Tricks. We're going somewhere that we have not been yet, which I'm very excited about. Now, I've actually only been to Wales once, but that's where we're going today. We're going back to Wales, to South Wales, to see today's guest. Now, today's guest is an absolutely lovely person, number one. He's also an incredible magic creator. Now, he's worked with lots of incredible companies like the 1914, which he has several tricks out, Compass Sequence being two of them. Recently, he worked with Craig Petty, don't know who he is, with Easy Tones, which was great. He actually has a trick out with Alakazam, which I remember the year that came out, and I remember actually buying that because I thought it was so quirky and so different. I had never seen anything quite like that, which is Agility. So do go check that out. It's great. And exclusive, we've got another trick coming out with him in the near future, which I can't say anything more about because I will get shot and you will never hear one of these podcasts again. So today's guest is the wonderful Rich Relish. How are you, Rich?
Yeah, really good, thanks. Yeah, it's nice and sunny in South Wales, so can't complain. So yeah, thanks for seeing me.
Yeah, we should probably both caveat this by saying we are both sweltering because we have the rare situation where we actually have a heat wave, which never ever happens in the UK. So we are both absolutely... So thankfully, this is not a video one because it's just both of us dripping with sweat. So we don't want that. Now, how did you find putting your list together, Rich?
I kind of thought about it too much. And in the end, I went with the process of the island. I'm going to take my working repertoire because those are the tricks I've chosen, the ones I know work. So the inhabitants of the island, I know they're not pipe dreams. I mean, social media tricks are probably no good on a desert island. So yeah, so the tricks themselves from my working repertoire, that was fine. And the bandishment was even okay as well, but it's the, and the book, but it was the non-magic item that we'll get later that I think I struggled with the most.
I think with the banishment now that we've put in, I think that before the non-magic item was the hardest thing that people found. But now I thought it would be the banishment. I think people are struggling with putting that banishment in.
I was between two, but yeah, I'll mention the other one briefly when we get there. But yeah, I settled that one.
Nice. Well, I'm really looking forward to it because obviously, I mean, you've got tricks on Craig Petty's net tricks as well, and obviously you lectured for the circle, I think, a little while ago. Yeah. So I'm guessing you have a lot of material to pull from. Now, for people who don't know, are you primarily a close-up performer, a stage performer? What sort of pool of tricks do you take from?
I've been on a stage a handful of times, and it's not for me. And then I know a lot of people will start in close-up, and the aim is to get to the stage. But for me, I love the interaction of going up to the group, performing in front of them. And yeah, okay, some groups are more difficult than others to perform to, admittedly. But yeah, for me, it's that connection you can get in small group, getting them all on side and letting them experience magic in their face. I think it's yeah, close up to me, and absolutely close up mentalism with predominantly a psychological presentational point. But if something is good and unexplainable, I'm quite happy to leave it unexplained. But yeah, not the psychic type of stuff. I quite like the psychological side.
Nice. So I think we've had a little bit of a teaser into what's going to be coming up. So let's stop at that little discussion there before you give anything away. If this is your first time listening to this, the idea is that we're about to maroon Rich on his very own desert island. When he's there, he's allowed to take 8 tricks, banish 1 item, take 1 book and 1 non-magic item that he uses for magic. Particulars, who's there, what's there, all of that good stuff. You can have a dragon if you want. Coming from Wales, it's all good. You can have whatever you want. We do not mind. It's in Rich's own imagination. So with that being said, let's go to South Wales now and find out what Rich put in his first position.
So yeah, first position, I thought it seemed apt. This has been my opener for a very, very, very long time. And I struggled, I think, a close-up opener, and there's certain tricks which work on stage as an opener where you can write things secretly, should we say, and I've never got on with those. So I looked for an opener for a long, long time. And to be honest, I think I only bought this trick when it was on sale. I think I underestimated it. And that's a Wave by Max Maven. I mean, it's perfect for me. It's 4 cards. And the plot of the trick is that the participant names a suit. And you explain that they're sole queens, they name a suit. You're able to show that not only is the names card the one that's face up in the packet, it's got a different color back, and all of the others are blank. And what I love about this is it's the same reveal, because if you know what suit they're going to say, then of course you can put a different color back on it, and you can not take the others. But the way it builds is just, and that's down to Max's brilliance. Absolutely brilliant how, yeah, you start off slowly. The other thing I like about it is the participant doesn't need to touch anything or hold anything. So if you're at a drinks reception at a wedding, they don't need to put things down or ask somebody to hold something. It's a few simple questions, and yeah, you get 3 big reveals. And it's, obviously, I'd recommend it to everybody. The bonus that you get with it as well, I mean, I seem to remember buying it from Penguin, and as part of the explanation, there's an extra piece where Max Maven really challenges people to think about their own process. So in terms of a performer, especially the mentalist performing mind reading, not obviously how are you getting the information, because that's part of the method, but what's your perceived process? So have you got a little imp on your shoulder that's whispering things to you, or are you looking at facial tics? And that was really interesting, because it was quite early on in my performing career and something I really hadn't thought about before. So, and it also means then I've got something to think about when I'm supposed to be doing the process. So for me, I imagine, almost like an infinite library that's got all the answers in there. And so, right, I've put somebody in this situation, so I need to go to this section for this one, right, and this is on this shelf, and then I take on this book, and I look through it, and it's this type of person, so it's in all likelihood this is going to be the answer. And it's never explained. I never spoke about that during the performance, but for me, it's just something to think about while I'm doing my mentalism face and supposed to be reading their mind. But yeah, to come back on the topic, yeah, the Wave is just brilliant. Max Maven, absolute legend, I'm sure. I mean, if you don't know him, absolutely look up his book, Prism. It's brilliant. But yeah, the amount of mileage you get from 4 cards, that's it for me.
Yeah, it's great. And you mentioned that you use this as your opener. Is that just because it's quick and snappy? Is it because you find it more engaging? What is it about that sort of setup of trick that makes it your opener?
Yeah, so one thing is, like I said, they don't need to hold anything, so that's good. It is snappy. I think you haven't really, so for your first trick, you haven't really bought the trust of the audience then, so anything too prolonged and they might lose interest. I think it uses playing cards. I was going to say mark cards, but then on Luci's podcast, he beat me to it and did quite a good exploration on those. But like using cards, they're a relatable object. People are used to them. People have still seen them. And so, yeah. And in terms of mentalism, I also like using props. I like having things on the table, or having things out for people to hold and touch and things. I think it's quite interesting. So yeah, for me, it's an easy to understand hook, built-in reveals. They don't have to hold anything. It's relatively quick, and I can take a psychological presentational stance as well, so it establishes quite a bit about my character. So to be honest, the only drawback is that you've got to be careful when you're repeating it. If you're at an event where people might be coming to different groups to see you, then you have maybe got to be aware of that. But to be honest, I've performed this at residencies in deal bars and getting one table to the next and nobody's noticed anything. So I wonder if that's just a little bit of magician skills more than anything.
Yeah, it's a great trick. So Max Maven was just an incredible thinker. I think it's a great choice in at number one, and leads us very nicely into number two. Now, before you say this, so you mentioned that's your opener. Are we going in it as a set? Is this how you've listed it out?
Oh, not quite. No, not quite. There are a few, but almost.
Oh, almost. Okay. Well, let's find out what you put in number two then.
So number two is another card trick, but again, it's not a straightforward trick. This is based on a 10-card poker deal. You know, I've always loved that, the freeness of the decisions that are made. So people who are not sure, this way the magician has a hand of 10 cards, and the participant makes all the decisions. You end up with 5 cards each. But in the end, and some traditional sense of the routines, either party then could always win, always lose, end up with a royal flush, etc. But this is specifically Chris Congreave's Cloak. So Chris brought this out a couple of years ago, I think maybe 3 at the most. And the ending is just brilliant. People just don't see it coming. So how Chris has taken it differently is exactly the same process. So they make all the decisions. You end up with 5 cards each. When they reveal their cards, they've got a royal flush and spades. So it's still recognizable. I mean, less people know about gambling things than previously, admittedly, but people still know that 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace of spades is a very, very good hand. So they turn that over, and you can get your best acting in, the magician in trouble, applying like, oh my gosh. Yeah, because of course, during the setup, you've said that, right, we could have a game where you can have a hand of 5 cards each and you see who the winner is. And I love the fact then that you deal these cards out, they see they've got a very good hand in terms of poker, and then the line, you made the assumption that we were playing poker. And it just creates that moment of doubt, and they're like, what? And then relatively quickly, you can show that the 5 cards you've got in your hand are from. Chris, there's a few sets. There's a Cluedo set, there's a Monopoly set, and it just breaks all that tension. And what was quite interesting, the last card says, you owe me £10, because presentationally you'd say, oh my gosh, that's a royal flush and a spade. If you were a betting man, you bet £10 on that. And so it's almost as a throwaway comment. And then you reveal you've got Professor Plum in the ballroom with the cucumber, which gets a laugh on his sound, and Chris Congreave's true style. And the first one not be card, and the last one says, so if you bet, you'd owe me £10. I'd actually been given £10 from this trip when I performed it to somebody once. So, admittedly, it's only once, but I don't know if they were on a date and the guy was out to impress the girl. But yeah, he absolutely gave me £10, and I put it behind the bar for the bar staff to start my residency, and I thought I didn't want them seeing me taking money off a customer. That didn't sit right with me. But yeah, so the trick also does have the potential to earn you money. And there's some great handling tips. I gave Chris an idea towards the end that he kindly put on there, and Sean Taylor has also got a brilliant idea for the last one phase as well. So yeah, it's just great, and that absolutely is instant reset, instantly repeatable. So again, I mean, you've got 2 small packets of cards, and there's 2 completely different effects.
Yeah, it's a great choice. And you've opened up with 2 card tricks that are very, very different from each other. We've got this sort of very serious mind readery one, and then we've got this kind of jokey, fun presentation as well. So I think that's going to be an interesting list going forward. So let's see where you went with number 3.
So number 3, again, is a trick that's readily available. People can buy, and it's by, well, I think one of my favorite creators, Steve Cook. So Steve is absolutely brilliant. I mean, in fact, when I was very early into the scene, and he reached out to me, and we caught up in Blackpool, and he showed me a few things, and then he went out to the Minds convention in Newcastle with Mike Murray's convention, met him there and spoke to him there. He's obviously couldn't have asked for a better welcome from him. And I could have chosen a lot of his tricks, but again, this one is absolutely my working set. And that's the gamble. you put out through Kmart magic. So what you might have noticed is the way I like to sort of structure my close-up sets is starting off with things which are relatively low odds, but still impossible because, I mean, even a 1 in 4 has got a 75% chance of going wrong. And I like to build an impossibility because in my head, if you go in with something too impossible, you're not leaving yourself anyway to go after that. So yeah, the gamble is a 1 in 4. There are 4 poker chips in a wallet. One's chosen, and you're able to show that you knew which one it was. I made some changes, which is to make it fit with a different trick. The thing I like most about the gamble is just leaving them time to process afterwards, because they pulled up the poker chip. You've shown you predicted it, and then just sit there and just be a little bit quiet. And I found that, yeah, I think as magicians we tend to sort of overlook things that are a 1 in 4, or even Swindle, which is a 1 in 2, is a 50-50. A Witch Hand is 50-50, and sometimes those can be overlooked. But you get when you get the reveal, it's a 1 in 4, and somebody's just thinking and processing how that could have happened, because it's so fair, it's hands off. I'll give them the purse, they mix it around as much as they want, they take a piece out. It really is nowhere for them to go.
And this is going back to the sort of serious mentalism as well, because it's quite a serious routine. It's played, well, I presume if you said that you play it like Steve does, it's quite a serious piece of mentalism. Now, when you perform it, is this something that you would perform after B-Wave as like a way to expand on that one card sort of selection?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, if I tell you the change I've made, you can perhaps see this. I don't quite play it as serious as the original. What I've done is I've swapped the poker chips for pieces of Lego, because the piece at one point in the poker chips can be stacked up, and it makes sense to stack the Lego pieces up like this as well. And as you see some of the tricks later on, I think the psychology behind colors are really interesting. It's engaging, and people understand how, like, some people red will mean Valentine's Day and everything romantic, and other people it's the red mist, it's blood, it's danger, it's a stop sign. And so I sort of lean into that presentationally, and so using the Lego pieces with bold colors, and even like little lines where, say, you've got 4 bits of Lego that definitely weren't stolen from the Lego shop in Cardiff, and it just softens the effect a bit. It still doesn't change the impossibility, but it just means that people, yeah, they're used to Lego blocks, they could look at them, they know what they're supposed to look and feel like, and it just moves it away from the seriousness of a poker routine, which plays well for me.
Yeah, that's great. I love the idea of adding the Lego there, because it makes absolute perfect sense stacking them up. Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. Well, that brings us to your next selection. So what did you put in number 4?
This is my 1,000 timer, and probably brings us on to an interesting point about, should we say, electronics. And I'm absolutely happy to use electronics as long as they're reliable and I have an out just in case the reliability doesn't always work. So I had this a little while. It was probably a bit of an impulse purchase, and at the point where I wanted to know what number somebody had chosen on a dice but didn't have the money for that. So instead I went a little bit sideways, and maybe you're expecting me to say the RD Mini, but it wasn't. I actually went down the inside out route. So I'm Pro Mystic, which is small cube, colored panels on either side, so it matches perfectly into the colors for me. You can take the lid off it, and you know what color people have chosen. So saved up, invested, bought myself it. It works flawlessly. The Pro Mystic stuff is really, really reliable, but it left me with 2 considerations. I won't call them problems. The first thing was, well, okay, I've got this. Now, why have I got it? Why have I got this little pot that I can take the lid off and put it back on? Performers carry unusual things. I get that, but why am I carrying this with me? And the second thing then was, well, how do I routine this into something that's more than, I know you're thinking of yellow? Because that's what it's too good a method and a process just to leave it there. And then this is where the change to gamble paid off, because by changing to Lego pieces, now I use the 4x2 Lego pieces just so they make quite a nice wall and they still fit in the same wallet that it comes with. But for the prediction piece, a 2x2 piece of Lego fits perfectly in the inside out cube. And so that's why I have the blue one. I can't even remember why I went with blue. And so now I've got the purse comes out, the inside out box comes out, and I shake it and I say, right, so here we go. This is my prediction. We'll come back to that at the end. And then I can follow the gamble. And it's routined in that way for a few different reasons. Number one, the prediction can be on display from the beginning, so why would you not? But also, giving that inside out a little shake and putting it on the table means that by the time you're performing the gamble, you know whether your inside out is working properly. Because the little shake wakes it up and tells you what you need to know. So if, for whatever reason, it's not working properly, and it's told me or not told me that it's not working properly, I know then I can just do the gamble. You've still got your reveal. It's a little box to stop there and then move on to something different. And I mean, I've been performing this for years, and that's probably less than 5 times I think that's happened. But you've just got that peace of mind. So you know, right, that's in front of you. That's working. Do the gamble and then straight into inside out. In terms of the routining, it's something I'm really proud of. I think I've routined it in a way where you notice this is a thread where you're getting like multiple reveals from like Cloak and Wave, but I've structured the routine in a way where you're doing the same thing 3 times, but the perceived impossibility of it is changing. So the first time I'll ask somebody to choose a color by putting their face up and covering it with their hands, and I'll ask them a few questions. And these have changed over the years. They've gone from like, what's your favorite ice cream to what's your favorite smell? And of course, it doesn't really matter. But the idea is that those are cueing me to the answer, and I'm able to say, right, so brilliant. So you told me that. That means you're thinking of red. I say, right, we're gonna do it again this time, but without the questions. So they think it's getting more difficult. And this time they choose a color, and I'll turn around, and let's say I know they're thinking of blue. I'll change the pace, the timing of it, and I'll turn around and very quickly I'll say, everyone chooses red after blue. Everyone chooses blue after red. Have you gone blue? And that just gets a laugh just from like they've taken ages first. We'll answer the question and then just speeding up and saying, no, everyone does this after this. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm really predictable, whatever. So you get that one. And then for the third phase, because you're on the background, you'll know like 3 acts and 3 phases always works better. So with the third phase, then I'll say, right, so this time I want you to mix it up so you don't even know what color's on top. And so they do that. And I'll say, right, now take a peek, because otherwise I'm not going to know. I'll just be guessing. And they take a peek, and I'll look in their eyes. And what I want to do is, because it's the sort of the crescendo of the routine, I want to be in control of the timing. So I've got 6 cards, which business cards, which are printed with box colors on, and I'll look at them and I'll show them the 6 cards and say, right, so not the color that's on top. Can you name out loud any other one color this year? So they say green. And I'll say, right, and what's the first green thing that comes into your mind? And they'll say a tree. And again, this is just some pseudo process. So then I'll put a card down. The other cards go away, and I'll say, right, so what color are you thinking of? Yellow. And then it's on you as the performer then to pick up the card, turn it around so everybody can see the yellow card. So everybody, I quite like, for the ending, I quite like to be in control of that timing of the reveal. You can make sure everybody sees it, everyone knows what's happening. You're not reliant on somebody who's peeking over a small thing, and you're not relying on their reaction to sell it to the rest of the audience. So yeah, once again, it's about just maximizing every single bit of value that you can out of your props and getting these multiple routines. It also means you don't have to put so many tricks in your set if you're performing for to fill your 5, 6, 7 minutes wherever you're doing each group. And yeah, it just does really nicely. And so obviously that's 6 colors, so it's a little bit more impossible than the 4 colors from earlier on. But yeah, that's the routine I could perform sleepwalking. I've done it so many times.
It's one of those tricks as well, because myself and Harry, we both do the MD Mini, which is the same sort of vibe as Inside Out. And we both have discovered that it becomes a challenge trick. So it becomes something that everyone around the table suddenly wants to have their go at. And they want to try and catch you out. And what I really like about what you've done there is sometimes they'll think that there's a mirror or there's CCTV or any number of bizarre things that are completely impractical, really, but they seem to think it is. And by having them turn to a color that not even they know, it really cements that there is no way that you could be seeing what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Other people accusing me of wearing like Google glasses or maybe, and in fact, I turned that into a line. I said, oh, these are not Google glasses, they're Tesco glasses or something, or Spectator glasses, and you get a little bit of a laugh. But I think it's important because as much as it's a bit of a laugh, it also means they're not going to think that go forwards because you wouldn't draw attention to it if that was the method. But I think that just is testament to the strength of the method and the trick, in that people are just really reaching for anything because it's so clean.
Yeah, and I think that's something that I've noticed recently is the amount of people that are asking whether I'm wearing smart glasses. So, highlighting that at the very beginning is a really smart move, I think. It's very good. So, what did you put in your 5th spot?
So this is where it deviates from the traditional order of the set, because I wanted to add this in, and absolutely not trying to score brownie points for the Rich down release. And it's one I think was a little bit overlooked. I think I'm the only person I know who's performing it, and it's by Brian Caswell, who was absolutely brilliant, more famous for perhaps Cataclysm and Trilogy, etc. But this is Pinnacle. I love Pinnacle. It's my bride and groom trick. So it's another card trick. But this, I normally have a different set to the bride and groom, so they wouldn't have seen Cloak and They see slightly different things. But the premise of this trick essentially is they can name 3 different playing cards. All the playing cards have numbers on the back. And as a performer, you know, or you could have predicted what numbers are on the back. And the opportunity that it gives you, and it took a while before it became my bride and groom trick, but 2 things again, which I had to get straight to my mind. The first thing was, well, okay, why have I got a numbered deck of cards? And then I sort of hark back to the story where, well, there's, when you shuffle a deck of cards, it's 52 factorial different combinations, which means that in all likelihood, a well-shuffled deck of cards never has or never will be in that order again. And I tell a story. This is where I like to inject a bit of my sort of personal life as well. I tell a story about how I've got a little daughter, and when she was young, I gave her a pack of cards to play with, and then gathered them up in the order after she'd finished, because that order then was absolutely uniquely individual to her. And so when I had the cards in that order, I numbered them 1 to 52, and then they've got just a little unique memento. And then I set myself the challenge of, right, let's try and learn to do a magic trick with it. And that's how I introduce it. In terms of the reveal, I wanted something special for the bride and groom. And so how I present Pinnacle is I have a number written in felt pen on the back of the card box. And I say to them, right, so we're going to play a game with this. You're going to choose 3 cards. And when we add them up, we're going to see how close you get to the number that's on the back of the deck. And so the 3 cards are named, take it out of the deck. And at the start, you've got a folded card, which also goes in the card box, so there's nothing else to remember. And on the folded card, I've written off by 1, but just right. So they add, and of course they haven't seen this, it's folded. So they turn over their 3 cards, we add the values up, and let's say the values add to 51, for example, and you show on the back, there's 52. And you say, it's no problem, so I'm going to use my eviction card here, because if you see it says off by 1, so you get your first hit. It's like, okay, you knew we were going to be off by 1. It says, but just right. And the just right is because when you spread the cards out, the 3 numbers that they've chosen are their wedding date. So it's like 26, 11, 24 is the 26th of November, 2024. And that moment when you just, and I don't even say it's their wedding date. I say, but just right. And then you spread the 3 cards over to show that they've named 3 random cards and they've predicted their own wedding date. It's some of the best reactions I've ever got. And it's a bit of a one and done in terms of the way the method works. When I want to do it at the next wedding, it has to be set up again. So there's a small cost involved, but you can obviously include that in however much you're charging, and maybe a little bit of preparation. But I like to think that there are some magicians who are just taking things off the shelf and performing those, and if that works for them, that's fine. I like to pride myself on people seeing something which they've never seen before, and to have something as as personal as that, where they've literally named any 3 playing cards and they've accidentally sound their own wedding date is some of the strongest magic I've ever done to an already emotional bride and groom. So quite often you get gasps and tears and things. So it's brilliant. So I just wanted to shine a light on it because I do think that it hasn't had perhaps the focus from people that it deserves.
Yeah, well, Brian Caswell, certainly newer magicians to the industry may not have heard of him. His tricks are always so ridiculously clever. He's one sort of in the same vein as Steve Cook. As soon as you see the name, you know that there's going to be something really clever about that trick. And the way that you've changed that and evolved it is really, really clever.
Yeah, I've got a standalone one set up where it predicts my daughter's date of birth, which was engraved on the back of a watch, because it meant I didn't have to set that up all the time, and it fits in with the story about her mixing up the cards, and that's where it started. So they choose 3 cards, they'd miss, and they look at the watch, and the watch would have Sophia's name and her date of birth engraved, and that would match 3 cards. And that's when I saw the potential of like, okay, it's a little bit of work, but it's absolutely worth doing for bride and groom.
Hey guys, Harry here from Alakazam Magic. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. I'm just here to interrupt and tell you a little bit about the Alakazam Magic Convention. It has taken us 35 years to get to this date. However, May the 9th, 2026 will be the very first Alakazam Magic Convention. Now, I know you guys are super excited, maybe just as excited as we are. First of all, the venue is a 37-minute direct train from central London. The venue is then literally a 10-minute walk from the train station. There's hotels within a stone's throw, there's restaurants nearby, and there's incredible food and drink on site. That's all without even getting into the magic side of things. We are going to have 4 incredible lecturers performing throughout the day, including one person who's going to be flying over to the very first UK lecture. We are buzzing to announce who those 4 are. Not only that, there'll be dealers on site and a place for you guys to jam and session and meet new friends. Where are the lectures going to be held? This is my personal favourite bit about the Alakazam convention. They're going to be happening in one of the cinema screens. That means fully tiered seating, comfy seats, a drinks holder, and there will be a close-up camera on the jumbo cinema screen that will be giving you close-ups of all the little nuances that you're going to need to see when the lecturers are performing. There will of course be a full gala show to end the evening off. You guys are not going to want to miss it. The great thing is as well, on the Sunday, the day after, Alakazam Magic Shop, which is a 2-minute drive, will be open. So if you're heading down to the convention, why not stay overnight and come and visit our magic shop? Remember, May the 9th, 2026. Tickets on sale now at alakazam.co.uk. See you guys soon.
Yeah, well, I think that's a great trick. And if people haven't seen it, I have just looked at the website and they've actually got it on offer. And I will not tell them about that. So hopefully it'll still be an offer at the time of this going live. But that leads us very nicely into a number 6. So what did you put in your sixth spot?
So number 6 is a little bit broader. It's something that I like to close a close-up set with just because of the impossibility, and that is a drawing duplication. A close-up drawing duplication, and I'm very much a method collector, and sometimes it'll be with a peak device like if I've used Stabbed Assassin, I've used Luca Bolpe's Fox, I've used Lucius Blake, the Orphic wallet, the Lookout wallet the Hideout wallet is the one I'm currently using by Paul Carmazzo. No, Lookout wallet is, or even a billet and a full stack of billets where you can get the information. And just think that by the time I've performed some other stuff to them, when it's time to really leave them with something impossible, and you ask them to do a simple drawing, you just get, there's just nothing. There's just nothing to follow that. For a long time, I mean, the Fox by Luca Volpe was I use that to store a lot of my wave, etc. Fits in really nice, and it's also lovely because it allows you to get 2 bits of information at the same time. So for a long time, I was doing a celebrity and a drawing at the same time. And this was one of my favorite moments. I got two sort of stories about drawing duplications. But the first one, performing in a cocktail bar. And so I find out the information, and two girls relatively drunk, not drunk, but they were having a good night. And then one of them had written the name Dolly Parton, and without seeing, the other person had drawn a pair of boobs. And I was like, this, I'm focused, this happens. So then I thought, right, I'm just really going to play on the connection here. So it's also, how long have you known each other? So yeah, we've known each other for years and years and years. We're like sisters. We've almost all grown up. Like, yeah, but you definitely didn't see where each other were? No. You couldn't have influenced each other? No. And I said, because I think, so I'm going to put my prediction here, but before I even turn my prediction up, I wanted to show what each other has done. And so they show each other, and of course they're laughing and they can't believe it. And then you just build better when you turn over and show you've revealed it. And that was, so I suppose the message there is be fully prepared to take credit for coincidences, because that's happened in the past. My other favorite time I was doing, actually this was when I was using the stealth case to do my Beat by Steve Cook again. And I performed a drawing duplication, and this is at a friend's wedding, and somebody came up and said, "Oh, can I have a go?" And this is where I sort of got it wrong, because what they actually meant was, "Can you read my mind?" What I thought they meant was, "Can I have a go of being a mind reader?" So in my head, I'm thinking, "Oh, this will be fine. I'll let them have a go reading my mind. It'll go wrong, and if you see, that's how difficult it is, and I can turn around and perform it back on them." But then I thought, you know what, let's try something. So I said, right, yeah, no problem. I give him a pen and a card. I said, right, so I'm going to think something. I said, I'm going to give you a clue. And it's not going to be something natural or living. Because I thought, obviously with banner checks work, etc., I thought, they're kind of going down a route. And I drew a picture of a house, fully expected him to maybe have got it wrong and see, look how difficult it was. So he comes back over and he says, okay, I've drawn mine. What have you drawn? Slides in over my house, and he'd done a house as well. And he literally jumped in the air, literally left the void. How did you make me know what you were going to draw? Which was just, and the photographer was perfectly placed. I think it's still one of my promo shots on my website now. Literally, he's got his pen in his hand, jumping up in the air. And again, it was just one of those moments where let's just see what happens. Let's just have fun with it. And I think that comes from experience, probably, and the confidence of knowing, okay, if this doesn't quite go right, I know where I'm taking it afterwards. And again, being a psychological performer is like, okay, it didn't quite go right. Oh, you did really well. You don't think like most people. This next one's going to work really well with you. So having these sort of stop lines where you're able to get out of these situations, but yeah, every now and again, you really do get gold.
Yeah, that's great. Now, when you get people to draw things, have you experimented with what you get them to draw? Have you ever done words? Have you ever sort of themed it to a certain image?
With things written down, I definitely have. I've done teachers. I've done a pet's name. I learned a lesson at a wedding where I asked somebody. I said, right, so I'd like you to write down a name, but not somebody who's sure now. And for whatever reason, they wrote down the name of somebody who was watching their deceased dad. And so, of course, I didn't know the wiser, so I revealed it, and they were absolutely happy tears. This person was really, really happy, but she was crying. And afterwards, I thought, just the optics of being booked to entertain guests and somebody seeing that from afar, it didn't quite sit comfortably with me. So that's when I sort of pivoted into celebrities or simple drawings, and not trying to restrict them too much. The one line they use is, we're having a lovely day, keep it clean. Because, of course, you will have people who draw rude things, and there are ways and there are things of, like, I think I didn't ask for it to be life-size. Here's a stock line that you can use, but I prefer it to something. Yeah, so I keep it quite open in terms of just a simple drawing you can draw in sort of 15 to 20 seconds. And maybe, again, this is trying to get into the mind of the participant, but maybe later they might think, oh, I wonder, maybe a lot of people draw that. And so well, I wouldn't have done a car, I would have done a tree or a house or a flower, or so it kind of lends itself to like putting them in under time constraints, maybe gives them a bit more pressure and allows them to think that, okay, well, maybe most people, when you give them that amount of time, think they draw that, and then I think that just adds to the believability of the skills you're portraying.
Great. Well, what a great list so far. We started with B-Wave, then Cloak, The Gamble, Inside Out, Pinnacle, and a Drawing Duplication. So a very fun mentalism set so far, I would say. And it does lead us into the tail end. So we've got number 7 of 8. So what did you put in your 7th spot?
This is where I pick myself up. I put one of my tricks. But genuinely, I perform it all the time. And it's easy tones. I don't like to perform with more than one script deck, even though, I mean, I punch holes in the corner and I'll put a keyring on it so it doesn't look like a deck. It's something that I think I don't want to do too many things. And this is another reason why I like The Gamble. I like Inside Out. They're different props on the table, so it looks different. But yeah, Agility I'm really proud of. It was my first release with a major magic company, but Easy Tones is another one I just keep going back to. The psychology of colours, so it all fits in. I think it's an interesting prop. It's relatable, it's instant reset, and it's mind reading. Well, the routine I do is the first one on the project, which is the mind reading and prediction. So in my mind, you've got the best of both worlds there, where you've got a really strong display of direct mind reading, where there's 50 cards with 4 colours on each, so you're talking a 1 in 200 shot there, and the prediction. Again, the prediction is on display from the very beginning. You've got such a fair display of all the colours. And yeah, they choose a colour and they've had that envelope in their hand from the very start. It's different to all the other routines that I've done previously as well. And I always have a little bit of fun revealing. I talk about it on the project, different ways you can reveal a colour that's being thought of. So for example, the one I'm like doing at the moment is where so they're thinking of a colour. I say, right, I want you to imagine you're in a very dark room, bit pitch black, and when your fingers on the light switch, I'm going to count out 3, 2, 1 and click my fingers. And in your head, the click of the fingers is the click of the light switch. And when the light comes on, that room is lit up in this colour that you're thinking of. So you count down, click your fingers, and then you do your best acting. It's like, oh yeah, I can see the colour now. It's and then you're able to name the colour. So it's probably the thing I'm most proud of as a release. And it is really well received. So I'm really, really glad. And I've genuinely performed it. I've seen with everything I've ever released, things which I perform. So I knew it works. Yeah, and I'd go. It's weird. I think this is only talking about the least because it's hard when it's one of your own projects. But I think I really do like it. I like the method, the props. It's one of my favorites.
Well, for me, when I first saw it, there was you put some really, really clever methods in there. And I remember sitting down, seeing it and going, that's so clever. And I think what I really liked about it as well is the hands-offness of everything. The fact that it feels like a really organic prop. And even looking at your list, when we look at your list, other than playing cards, everything else is very organic. You seem to have an organic approach. When you look at agility, those are top trump cards. You know, your thing seems to be organic, everyday props that live in the real world.
Yeah, and with Easy Tones, this is where, I mean, Craig's involvement in the project. So I showed it to Lloyd and he liked it and said he'd like to release it through Murphy's. And he was talking about it to Craig. And at that point, the core method was there. So the deck does different things in different parts, and the core method was there. And Craig said, well, look, there's some real estate there that's not being used. He said that there has to, and that's Craig's challenge. We had to come up with some of the routines at the end as well. But what he really did, the value he really added was pushing me to think, what else can you do with it? What else can we put in? And that's where I took it away. And this was nice. There was no pressure in terms of, right, it's got to be done by this date. It was a case of, no, it gets released when it's ready. And so we're able to go away, come up with the other stuff, which really tied it in. The two core methods then really cancel each other out in terms of the presentations. And I absolutely got Craig to thank for that, because if it had come to market in its original state, which it may have done, I mean, it's still a viable product, but I don't think it would have been anywhere near as well received in terms of the final one.
Well, it's a great choice in at number 7 and leads us to your very last item. So what did you put in your final spot?
Well, I know earlier on you said that you might get shot by Pete, but I thought if people have stuck through this far, I might give them a little synopsis of an idea of something that might be coming out in the future. Because it's in my working set. Again, it's something that I feel really strongly about. I think it's a really, really, really good project. It's like some people locally perform it. I know Dan Shard in Smoke and Mirrors enjoys performing it. And again, not too much information, but I'll give a brief overview of what happens. And that's you're playing the game again, so it's quite friendly. Or you're with a group of people, and they're trying to match a number which is on the reverse side of a card. So they generate some numbers, and when you turn the card over, they got it wrong. So you turn around to them and say, "Oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, the prize is only going to be this," and you're able to show that the prize was a lottery ticket. And at this point, they realize that all the numbers that they've made are the numbers on the lottery ticket. And yeah, I love it. I think it's like when somebody says, "Oh, could you tell me the lottery numbers?" This is where I pivot into, because even though at the start they don't realize it's a lottery trick, retrospectively, then they can put two and two together. And it's just a load of fun to perform. So yeah, still early doors in terms of getting the release. But if you see me perform, no doubt you would have seen me do this trick.
Well, I can exclusively say now that I have just had a message through from Pete saying that we've just had the samples in for this. So this is something that is coming soon. We've done this in other podcasts, so I'm really sorry, guys, but we're not going to talk any more about it because we can't, basically. Yeah. Suffice to say, you'll find out about it in the future. It's an absolutely phenomenal trick. This was bought before I was a part of the company, so I had the joy to learn about this as my time with Alakazam's gone on. And yeah, it's just so good. I cannot wait to film the trailer for this because I think getting the reactions from this is going to be good fun.
If there was anything redacted in my comments saying that's Jamie in post.
Yeah, we don't want Pete after us, all right? I want to keep my job, thank you guys. So we will stop that there, but what a great list. We've got B-Wave, Cloak, The Gamble, Inside Out, Pinnacle, Drawing Duplication, Easy Tone, and I've just put TBA, to be announced, all right?
It's not even named yet.
It's not even got a name yet, so, just look out for Rich's name. It'll be that one, okay? Now, obviously, Rich, we've given you 8 tricks, but we've only given you 1 each of these last items. So let's start with your banishment. If you were to dig a big sandy hole and throw something from the magic industry in there and cover it up for forever, what would it be?
So I mentioned earlier on that I was toying between 2, and the one that I didn't go with was worrying about justification. I don't. I use these props. I do these things. This is how it works. But why do you have to go back into why do you have to put the card into the wallet? I genuinely don't worry about that. I mean, you're with people for 6 or 7 minutes of their lives. That's probably not the bit they're going to remember. But yeah, that's not the one I went with in the end. The one I went with was competition. And I don't mean magic competitions. I find that there's a lot of professional magicians in South Wales, a lot of really, really good professional magicians. And what I've noticed is it's quite strange that when you're sort of exhibiting at a wedding fair, etc., sometimes they'll only book one magician, or other magicians will be like, well, I'm not going to exhibit there because there are multiple magicians. Whereas if you look at photographers, they could easily be 6, 10, 12 photographers. And speaking to some photographers about this, and they said, well, I meet the couple, I'll chat to them, they can see my style from the books, and if they like me and they want me to be there this special day, then I get their business. And I think, well, that absolutely should be the way for entertainers as well. I think there's still plenty of people getting married, there's still plenty of opportunities for gigs, and I think that we shouldn't worry and take things personally. I mean, they're very different performers. I mean, for example, down the road, we've got Harry Harrington. His style is poles apart from myself. You've got Lance Bowen, he did more traditional magic. You've got such different personalities that only having one magician exhibiting at a wedding fair, I think it's probably doing the industry a disservice because they don't realize how different people could be. And I get it. It's a lot of money to spend to exhibit at a wedding fair. And like you think, well, maybe the potential customers is going to be reduced. But I genuinely think that if you want your brides and grooms, whatever, to have the best day, and they're going to choose somebody where they like you perform your tricks, they like what you do, you show them what to do, and move on from there. So I think, yeah, just that element of competition, but between professionals, and maybe that's a little bit naive of me, but it would be nice.
So I think you're absolutely right. I think you're absolutely right when you say having several people at a wedding fair, and like there's how many times you go to a wedding fair and there's more than one photographer or videographer or wedding cake maker, or you know what I mean? It's great for people to have choices, and the most important thing is you want your client to like you. You want
testimonial at the end, yeah.
To want you. So I always liken it to a comedian. A comedian is in a really interesting position because they know that everyone in the room with them has the same sense of humor as them, for the most part. So they are already winning at that situation. And we need to be that when it comes to like wedding fairs. If we know that we get along with our clients and our clients are warming to us, then we know we're already a step ahead. We already know that more than likely it's going to go better for us. So I think you're absolutely right. Having different styles doesn't hurt anyone. So yeah, I think that's a great banishment. That is there, right? So that's on your island. But that does lead us to your book. So what did you put in your book position?
So this is the one where people might be a little bit surprised because I'm a reader. I've got an extensive library, and there are books like, some Scott Creasy's books, there's Phil's Mythology Codex, Drew Backenstoss's Piece of My Mind, Architect of My Mind, Michael Murray's A Piece of My Mind. So many, even recent mentalism books, Bain, Fake Genius, like I mentioned, there's so much stuff out there. But I decided to go back to the book which I think I reread the most. This was quite a while ago it came out, and to be honest, I think I initially bought it without really appreciating who the author was, how sort of good the book was going to be. And somebody else said, I think it was my wife actually, I need to get something for a Christmas present, so I gave her the name of the book. And it turned out to, like I said, to be the book I've reread over and over and over again. And I've got it here, and it's High Caliber by John Bannon. I just think that there are a few things. The simplicity and the elegance in some of Bannon's creations and routines are just so inspiring as a creator. The High Caliber is a collection of some of his older work, so I think there are maybe 6 or 7 different books or booklets that went into it. Yes, there's Fractal Card Magic, 6 Impossible Things, Open Notorious, Medawave, Bullet Party, Tribodical, One Off, All In, and Shuffle In. So from 2008 to 2012 is sort of a compendium of all of his work. The variety there's packet tricks, there's false cuts, there's his work on multiple shifts, there's published packet tricks, Spin Doctor and things like that is there, Bannon Triumph is there, his origami prediction, his work on the mirror skill principle, his open prediction, and even at the first book, that's 6 Impossible Things. In terms of routine in the set, it's basically one deck of cards and the different effects you have. And as a creator, that's what I find really inspirational, is going back. Is there any way I can make it? I think elegant is a really nice word. Just a combination of methods. There's a lot of work there with what he calls fractal, which is where you end being, because that's when, I suppose, the mosquito's on you. And the way things are described, I've very rarely had a situation where I didn't understand what he was getting at, even though there's technical carpos in there. And so yeah, if I've ever got a deck of cards, I'm probably doing something from there. Mentalism will come later, which I also thought was absolutely brilliant. But High Caliber for me was great, to the point where 2018, I took my copy to Blackpool, and like I showed Jamie, I'm like a proper fanboy. I approached John Bannon, and he signed it for me. And so it's really one of my prized possessions from a magician who I admire a lot.
Yeah, he is an absolute legend, isn't he? He's every book that he puts out, and I think it's quite telling with recent books like Hush Hush and Queen Spirit, that he really obsesses over certain plots and certain ideas, and he really picks them apart.
I mean, everything he's pro since, it's as easy as that. Whether we'll see the Cardzilla, which he's mentioned a few times, which would be his sort of magnus opus, I don't know. But if not, I'm more than happy with the collection I've got. And yeah, it's a nice change as well. I think when I perform and create a lot of mentalism, to read something that's not is great. But then, yeah, I mean, open prediction is classic mentalism plot as well. So it's definitely crossover. It's pride of place on my bookshelf.
Well, that's a great choice and leads us to your very final thing. So this is your non-magic item that you use for magic.
Yeah, not a phone. That's where my mind went straight away. But I do have some magic apps, but professionally I try not to do it because I know that there's a lot of other musicians on South Wales who use them relatively frequently. So like, right, okay, if I'm looking for a USP, something, last thing I want is somebody to say they've seen this before, somebody else has done it. I'm assuming that because I'm allowed a drawing duplication where I've got Sharpies and billets, so I'm thinking that's part and parcel there. So on a similar note, I've gone for a very big box of envelopes. I think that, coin envelopes specifically, so versatile for mentalism. I mean, you can gaff them. I mean, I think somebody's probably done a project with a 1914 on gaff envelopes, I'd imagine. No, geez, a big project there. Yes, you've got gaffed envelopes that you can use for switching, for peeking, and even pocket management, keeping sets of cards in to keep them in a certain order, etc. You can absolutely do that. Even for a prediction, I mean, if a prediction is in an envelope, they're less likely to turn it over, look at it, ruin the timing of something. I think that, and maybe for one of the easy tones routine, I do a mini confabulation and just have it something in an envelope so you can pull the prediction out piece by piece, and then it just builds and gets a little bit more impressive. They're just so versatile. And if I'm doing arts and crafts, it's probably with coin envelopes, just getting them. And part of my lecture is a switch envelope that I'd come up with, that's one of the things on the Netrix, actually. And so, I just think I don't think they are underrated. I think they're rated, but it's definitely something that I need to take with me on my island.
Well, it's been a while since we've had someone skirt the rules a little bit there, because you've managed to take with you billets and pens, and now lots and lots of envelopes, which means at this point you could chuck a little Q&A in there somewhere. Would you? No, I think that's absolutely true. I think I'm such a big fan of coin envelopes. Well, envelope magic in general. I think it's such an organic prop. It's something that doesn't need explanation. I think that's what's so important. The very presence of the prop tells the audience what its intention is. The whole point of an envelope is to protect your personal information when it comes to your residence. Therefore, there's no explanation that anything I put into that envelope, I'm putting it in there because it's going to be secure. So you just don't have to say anything. It just does what it needs to do. So absolutely great choice and a great list. So one last time, we started with B-Wave, Cloak, The Gamble, Inside Out, Pinnacle, Drawing Duplication, Easy Tones, to be announced for number 8. Banishment is Competition. Your book is High Caliber by John Bannon. And your item is Coin Envelopes. What a great mentalism set.
Okay, like I said, it's all, I know obviously it's a weird scenario to put this out in, but I thought if I'm going somewhere, okay, there are some tricks which are nice to practice, etc. But I want to take my working material that I know works, just get the indigenous people on side. So.
Yeah, I think that's great. And what I really like is you've got a couple of routines in there which are customizable as well. Inside Out, customizable. You've already talked to us about Pinnacle and your version of that with the wedding couple, and then drawing duplications. You've spoken to us about different ways that you can go with that. So I really like that you can adjust this to the turtles if they appear on your island one day. I think it's really good how you can take this in different directions, really.
Yeah, and I do. Only when you're performing, you hear something, you'll react to something, and that's the fun bit of a performer.
Well, if people want to find out more about you, Rich, and they want to find out about your lecture and your products, where can they go to?
Yeah, just Google it. I mean, so my name is Richard Gerish. My teacher when I was 8 said Gerish sounds a bit like relish, and it's stuck. It's been my nickname ever since. So that's why I think agility is actually under Rich Gerish is before I decided to use Rich Relish. So I'm all over social media, responses, and for the releases, just Google my name. I think you're not going to get anyone else other than me.
And obviously keep tuned to Alakazam as well, because you'll find out about Rich's number 8. Because, obviously we can't say anything more about that, but it really is superb. So please do go seek it out when it comes out. But we won't tease it anymore. Well, thank you so much, Rich, for your time. And thanks for giving us such a great list.
No, thank you. Thanks for asking me. I really enjoyed it. It's a nice sort of mental conundrum to puzzle through.
Well, and hopefully we'll see more of your tricks coming out in the future. Do go check out the net tricks as well. But for now, we are going to go. Of course, we're going to be back next week with another episode. So until then, have a great week. Goodbye.
When I perform at gigs, I look at effects that tick these 3 boxes. Is it super strong and powerful? Yes. Will it last with your spectators for a lifetime? Absolutely. And does it leave them with a souvenir that perfectly captures the moment of magic? If that all sounds exactly what you're after, look no further than the liquid forks. These forks have been custom designed to be able to bend right in front of your spectators' eyes. It's so easy to perform, it's so visual, and trust me, they will honestly keep this impossible object because they've seen it morph in front of their eyes. It literally does the impossible. Not only that, Liquid Forks comes with 50 of these forks in each pack, and it comes with the full Liquid Forks routine taught by the world famous David Penn. Not only that, we have a subscription service. If you guys love these forks and you get through them at your gigs, we now offer a monthly subscription where you get sent a box through every single month at a 10% reduced fee. Like I said, you guys are going to be loving these. You're going to be performing them every chance you can. Trust me, the reactions are second to none. So guys, head over to alakazam.co.uk, pick up a set of liquid forks. You will not regret it. Easy to do. Leaves them with a killer souvenir. And to be honest with you, it's not cards, it's not coins, it's not mentalism. It's something beyond belief. Check it out now, guys, the liquid forks.